that you went away.
Hi, Happy New Year. New Years are kind of this arbitrary delimitations of our behaviors. And I know that I'm a bit late with this, so let's just roll with it and pretend it's the 1st of January. We say we will change in the new year. We will set goals and resolutions and work our hardest to accomplish them. Time is, after all, just a social construct. And although it has scientific basis, the movements of celestial bodies shouldn't determine how we act or how we treat others. You'll notice I will return to its choice of words, arbitrary and change. Change is intentional, so in a way that's the opposite of the former word. This video will be split into 3 chapters: a general understanding and the history of this genre on YouTube, my criticism of the genre and of particular channels, and changes I want to implement to my channel to live up to my own criticisms. I will focus more on the first 2 and leave the personal stuff for the last section of the video so that this format is friendlier to new subscribers or just those who are visitors by happenstance. This beautiful necklace made of amethyst is made by my friend, and I want to support my friend's small business on Etsy, so I'm going to leave this in my bio. I know my uploads have been a bit inconsistent. I'm trying to make this better. I will talk a bit about burnout later in the video. Part 1. Commentary / drama / tea channels, shortened as CDT for the purpose of this video, have become a behemoth on YouTube. They're the new vigilantes of the internet, taking justice into their hands and delivering it swiftly. One 8 to 10 minute clickbait video at a time. But the thing is, they don't often succeed. The feared concept of cancel culture rarely works. That's why CDTs have started to focus more on accountability culture, which is a noble goal to have. Accountability culture focuses more on the progress and the lessons that an influencer can make and learn. Some influencers are too far gone to change, but too powerful to cancel. Take Jeffree Star as an example. But if we can change minds little by little, it's still a worthwhile effort. It's funny how we are becoming more self-aware as CDT channels of what we can do and what we have been doing right or wrong. I saw Angelina Skov, I think they are non-binary, they made this video series about CDT and it mirrored a lot of my thoughts. I had my video planned for a while because the anxiety of being so blindsided by a few things on YouTube is part of why I took my break. I wanted to discuss this for a long time, but took some time to find the words. But they made this video, which mirrored many of my thoughts, and I just want to say I appreciate them as a creator. I am using many more sources for this video than usual, for my channel, that is, which will be referenced in my description. What exactly are each of these and how do we differentiate them? Well, to be honest, they're quite arbitrary labels. Commentary tends to be longer, more researched, maybe it takes longer to create a commentary video, and at that point, the drama is not that fresh anymore. There are more opinions shared in a commentary video. People tend to go watch those videos for a deeper analysis. Commentary videos aren't always drama related, they can discuss media, trends, etc. Drama videos, well, they discuss dramas in varied lengths. Tea videos are usually shorter, they are made as fast as possible for the people who are mostly looking for a news-style recap. The term tea, which used to just be the letter T, originates in black drag culture. It used to mean truth, although how much truth can there be in a video that gets pumped out as fast as possible to maximize profits? These videos are often only showing one side of the drama / story. There are discussions about how cishet white men are taken more seriously in this field and how women, LGBTQ+ people and people of color are often labeled as drama or tea channels simply for how they speak, what slang they use, what energy they emanate. I honestly think there is some truth to this critique. And I'm glad to see minorities emerging in the commentary category by making documentary style videos and breaking these walls and again arbitrary labels. There is also a genre at the intersection of commentary and politics that often refers to itself as left tube or bread tube. I'm not going to talk about it a lot in this video because this is not what it's about, but I think it will be interesting to make a deep dive into this in the future. Now, I'm a leftist YouTuber, but honestly most of left tube are not even leftists. Liberals are not leftists, at least not economically. Progressives in general are not always leftist. Anti-capitalism has become a trend on the internet alongside this social wokeness. Being progressive is amazing, being anti-capitalist is great, but what are you exactly? Notice how many of these people will just say they're against capitalism without presenting their actual ideology. This makes me wonder if they even have any. I do not like most of the Western left too, because I think they are just liberals masquerading as leftists and spreading the same Cold War-esque propaganda I see amongst conservatives already. Same ideology, different font, because this one support BLM and LGBTQ+. Unless you're a person of color or non-cis living in a country that is communist or doesn't get along with USA, or sometimes living in USA but having different political opinion than these progressives, in which case they don't care about you. I am not saying it's a bad thing to support progressive causes. I support BLM. I am part of the LGBTQ+. I just don't like see hypocrisy and false advocacy only when it's convenient or aligns with their westernized agenda. More on this later, because we will talk about the current political climate and how I feel. First, let's go over the debates, truths, or misconceptions. Are CDT channels like scandal tabloids? Are we the new TMZ? Only if we want to be. The power of drama and scandals is palpable in society, probably since its inception. With the rise of the internet, information travels faster than ever. The Monica Lewinsky scandal should have taught us something. And that is that people fucking love a good scandal. By the way, watch the American Crime Story season on Monica. She truly deserved better than her lot in life. Was Jesus the first influencer? Maybe. Humans like to live vicariously through others. Maybe that's why reality TV has seen the success it's seen. This scandal killed Princess Diana. Partially. Did we learn anything from it? Not really. Look at what we did to Meghan Markle. It becomes a funny parallel when you find out that the royal family has a symbiotic relationship to the press. In order to leave them alone in most of their personal affairs, they provide them with content in the form of photos and interviews. Influencers are trying to replicate this by calling the paparazzi on themselves to capture them in a good light or distract them from this or that drama. Is it not our duty to not fall for this? If so, why do so many CDT channels discuss these paparazzi encounters? I've been guilty of this too. I know. There are so many questions that I feed you with, but I can't give you comprehensive answers to. There are layers, and CDT channels are not a monolith. Next up, we are not journalists. There are 5 core principles in journalism: truth and accuracy, independence, fairness and impartiality, humanity and accountability. Let's be honest, many real journalists don't follow all these guidelines, so we shouldn't expect CDT channels to follow them to a T either, but it'd be nice for us to try, especially 3 and 5 as much as possible. 1 is hard to get, because new information is always revealed. 2 would be ideal, but even sponsorships can skew what we can and cannot say, and the full-time CDT channels need those to survive. 4 is always good measure, but some people such as predators don't deserve kindness, and I stand by that. In the beginning, there was a faceless channel with a distorted voice called YouTube Watchdog, who operated between 2006 and 2015. He's the one who exposed Shane Dawson for trying to inflate his views, albeit not with as much success as CDT channels today, as it was, at the time, a pretty niche topic. Keemstar is, in a way, the abusive father of this genre, giving it a face and a personality, albeit not the best ones. He started his series Drama Alert in 2012. His fans are mostly edgy teenage boys. He looks down on drama channels and says he's not drama, even though his channel is literally called Drama Alert. And his sources are very often anonymous, which makes one wonder, do they even exist? He quite often defends problematic influencers, says racist, sexist, homophobic, transphobic, etc. stuff, and has baited his retirement about 5 million times. There is a special kind of irony in knowing that the guy who birthed, or at least popularized this genre on YouTube, is actively being shunned and non-stop criticized by his offspring. His lengthy and very public feud to H3 is worth mentioning now. Kim and Ethan do not like each other, and they will tell you that about 5 million times too. Ethan is another big drama channel, one that claims the moral high ground because he stopped being outright racist, although he is still very problematic. By the way, check my video on this. Ethan went after Kim's sponsors in 2019, I believe, which caused a big debate on the morality of boycotts and going after sponsors. To be honest, I don't see it as a crime. I mean, there is some ridiculousness in seeing one ridiculously rich guy try to bankrupt another ridiculously rich guy, but hey, bourgeois infighting is not my problem. I just hope this doesn't become an issue for smaller YouTubers whose livelihoods could really be threatened by such blows. We see that, yes, sponsorships can be affected by bad behavior, such is the case of Gabby Hanna, saying she lost a big chunk of her income because of dramas, but of course she won't admit why she was in the wrong, and Kim will continue to defend her as they keep on living together in their problematic bubble of camaraderie by convenience. Because there are rarely genuine friendships on YouTube. It's just a game of who can use who as a means to their ends. In my research on the history of YouTube dramas and controversies, and by extent of CDTs, I found this video about YouTube drama landscape of 2016. I think it's a good watch and relevant to the topic, as you can see how, although many things changed, they still stay the same. There were still predators on the platform, there was a lot of bigotry, there were wars and deplatforming, etc. 2017 to 2021 are the most relevant years of our discussion now, because CDT channels grew exponentially in these years. 2017 is where we saw influencer Jackie Aina fight back by copyright striking Paige. Thus, the censorship of our genre began to be normalized. Also in 2017, Jeffree Star told two CDT channels, This Pill and Here for the Tea, to cancel their ongoing series on Jaclyn Hill by claiming she's dealing with a mental health crisis. The channels obliged, not wanting to take the risk. But knowing what we know today of the puppeteer that is Jeffree Star, we should be left to wonder what his interests were here. And although Jaclyn's crisis may have been genuine, it doesn't seem like Jeffree ever does anything out of the kindness of his heart. Another notable events in this 4-year range for CDT channels were infighting, such as Petty Paige versus Here for the Tea, Smokey Glow and Ashley Kyle versus Rich Lax and Petty Paige because of Nick Snyder's Christmas party, Smokey Glow versus Angelica Oles in my aforementioned email that went unanswered, being how my distaste for Smokey Glow began, Def Noodles versus the Commentary Bros, you already know who I mean, Hello Leash also versus the Commentary Bros, and Edwin's Generation, because I don't think I would put him in the same category as the rest of them in terms of content direction, Keemstar versus H3H3 as mentioned before, etc. We also saw the cancellations of CDT channels such as John Cookian, Sander Kennedy, John Swan, Hello Leash, and Creepshow Art. I'm probably missing some. We thought a crystal ball got sued by Tati Westbrook, making everyone see that there are ethical limits to what should constitute CDT reporting. D'Angelo Wallace made his three-parter on the Dramageddon situation, and thus the long-form commentary on YouTubers blew up. He later deleted this three-parter. I believe Dramageddon is the main reason the CDT community blew up as much as it did, because it gave people a seemingly unlimited supply of controversy and 4 popular and highly demanded targets. It also exposed that some CDT channels such as Rich Lux, Petty Paige and Ashley Kyle were indirectly on YouTubers' payroll. This is not uncommon, as influencers often contact the CDT channels, which are basically the same as the press for them. Kathleen Lights, whose channel I like, but who I disagree with on this occasion, basically contacted all of CDT YouTube to try and tell her side of the story because she said the N-word in a Snapchat story. CDT channels should not be the guard dogs of influencers. We see subjects that are highly debated between CDT channels, such as whether Eugenia Cooney should be deplatformed, but very rarely is Eugenia herself asked. I have many things to critique about Eugenia, but I am happy that Vanjana Skov gave her a chance to talk. If anything, that interview exposed that Eugenia does have a problem, and that she does lie, as much as she may believe her own lies. Being a CDT channel seems profitable from the outside, especially as this genre is now breaking into mainstream media, with Shane Dawson's documentary about Jeffree Star going viral, and quoting numerous CDT channels, to the Chris Hansen on Onision in Real Life Discovery Plus documentary, to the E! True Hollywood story, and lastly to the numerous articles where CDT channels are asked about relevant topics or simply referenced. So profitable that in fact, those who were once or continue to be the subjects of these videos are trying to become CDT channels themselves. I wasn't sure where to pivot into this, but yes, Ryland Adams and many MUA making their own podcasts about dramas is ridiculous and clearly a money grab, in my opinion, allegedly. You know the drill. Do we need CDT channels? In my opinion, yes. These channels are viewers of YouTube. They understand how the platform works and what is engaging to viewers. Mainstream press often gets the stories wrong when they report on them, and the forums that go alongside CDT channels such as LolCow, Guru Gossip, and r/Beauty Guru Chatter are not enough to satisfy all users' thirst for tea. Part 2. CDTs are not immune, and should not be immune to criticisms. We hear some of them quite often. Some CDTs clickbait their titles and thumbnails. They're sensationalized. The TMZ comparison is warranted here. They make videos that are 8 minutes to benefit from those mid-roll ads. It used to be 10 minutes before YouTube changed their policy. Just notice how many of these T channels have changed their video lengths on average from 10 minutes to 8 minutes. It's very easily noticeable. They're nitpicky. The T ones, to be more specific, hide behind anonymous accounts, some even using filters to change their voices. How can we trust that someone anonymous is in a position to hold others accountable if we don't even know how they are as a person, where their morals stand, and what they're hiding? I'm not saying those channels a la Spell, Spellsesh, and other tea-related names are inherently bad. They're good sources of news in small doses. I watch them myself. I appreciate them. But they should be questioned as much as the subject of their videos, and especially Spell, which was exposed as a corporation. Why are corporations infiltrating YouTube under the guise of being just like us? The T-Series versus PewDiePie situation comes to mind. How can we as independent creators compete? Demonetized videos are a tragedy for some of us, but big corporations can withstand the storm, that is the apocalypse. If another one comes, is it bad to have corporations on YouTube? Which in itself is a corporation. I don't know, but it's surely bad to hide it and lie. I know there's gonna be a big irony about how I'm having this mug, which is with YouTube, and I'm criticizing YouTube as a corporation. I got this from my workplace because we actually work with YouTube alongside many suppliers. So I did not pay to get this. I thought it's cool and maybe ironic a little bit to have it in the video. I didn't pay for it, so please don't start with that in the comments, things. There are also issues with CDT channels not admitting they are wrong. I've had to make corrections several times. I think some channels refuse to do it because they're held to impossible standards, to standards of journalistic perfection. When, as I've said in the previous chapter, we aren't trained journalists, and we need to admit to people that we're wrong sometimes, and we're still learning to. This is where I'll go into a socialist rant. Feel free to disagree, but at least take time to listen. There's something just truly dystopian about Smokey Glow shouting in a high-pitched tone about how others don't hold themselves accountable when she refuses to answer my email about how I found her to be microaggressive. There's something truly horrifying about the USA's fear of YouTube claiming the moral high ground when refusing to acknowledge the world does not work in an identical way to their country. Again, Smokey Glow comes to mind. Only, or mostly, if I miss something, using her social justice spotlight to highlight exclusively American causes. Some Americans who live in a glass house like to preach to others about how woke and superior they are, and I'm a leftist myself, so I do post woke stuff as well, when they don't understand politics or how the world works. Bernie Sanders is center-right at best, on international axis. He's not your leftist champion, and actual leftists would beg you to stop shilling for a man who was all for bombing people, a man who supports NATO, an organization many Eastern European, Middle Eastern, South American, and East Asian people fear. Smokey Glow talking about Asian hate being caused by COVID and not by a disinformation campaign by the American press, because God forbid Americans see that communism can lead to economic growth, is in its own an attempt of misinformation. It shows her public falsehoods and a limited picture. COVID did increase Asian hate crimes, but do you know why? Because the right-wing press started with the anti-China Cold War rhetoric around the same time. My partner is Russian. I'm part Russian, and trust me, the parallels between what the Western press did then and what they are doing now are uncanny to him as they are to me. You cannot claim the higher moral ground when the only minorities you accept to listen to are the ones within your borders. To continue, commentary channels are almost always negative, which is why I want to create a mix of negative and positive news moving forward. More on that later. Not only the channels themselves are negative, but also some members of their audiences, or fans of the subjects of the videos who feel the need to hate watch CDT videos about their faves. I swear the live chats of CDT channels must be some of the most toxic chats I've seen alongside political YouTube. Next up, let's talk about bias. We all have biases, whether we are aware of them or not. It's important to express the biases. If we talk about a creator we like and we want to give them more room to grow, we should explain why we are less harsh. This also happens the other way. We saw Hello Leash's obsession with Gabby Hanna become scary, as most of her videos were about Gabby nitpicking everything she does. And trust me, I dislike Gabby Hanna just as much, but hyperfixating on one person for months is not healthy. On the bias topic, we talked about payrolls earlier, but there are also other types of payrolls. Some CDT channels get sent PR from the very people they talk about. Surely this is meant to skew their reporting angles. Likewise, I'm sure behind the scenes influencers repeatedly try to silence CDT channels. I've got privacy complaints and people in my DMs asking me to delete my content too. And if someone my size on YouTube gets that, imagine how many of these experiences big CDT channels have. Originality is also a point of contention because yes, CDTs are mostly original, as one's opinion is inherently original, but there are compilation channels, channels that plagiarize more niche ideas and even angles from other channels, and low effort content such as those old videos which show subscriber increases or drops in real time, before the exact sub count was hidden and approximated. Lastly, I think sometimes CT channels foster an environment of people taking everything too far, overreacting over small situations and trying to cancel everyone. Of course, it's not our fault that people misunderstand our purpose. A few situations that come to mind are the nitpickiness of everything that Amelia sisters do, same for Addison and Ray to be honest, although they are overrated, it doesn't mean that they should be criticized so harshly. The James Charles small situations which got blown out of proportion more than his predatory behavior, Vitamin Gate and the mugshot challenge did not need to be cancelable offenses. Emma Chamberlain being hated on for no longer being relatable. Do you know how rich she is? Worry about the wealth gap under capitalism instead of expecting someone extremely rich to be the same as you. And the Logan Paul Game Boy situation. I think people can't accept his emotional growth and are just looking for reasons to hate on him at this point. He's not beyond reproach, but I think it's just exaggerated. Part 3. Now let's talk changes. I like the direction that we're going in. From excessive consumerism to anti-consumerism, I like how CDT channels call people out for their shady business practices and warn potential customers off. I have been doing this before, but I want to do it more. Shady businesses, MLMs, general capitalist critique, I want to focus on all of it more. I also want to discuss channels I do like. Like I've already mentioned Paige earlier, I love her channel, even though I don't always agree with her takes. Maybe a few dedicated videos about people I do admire will be a welcome change from the usual negativity trap that we fall into as CDT channels. I'm also starting a series where I will discuss some problematic influencers and why they will always fail in our eyes. Holding someone to impossible standards will never work, and I want to critique the missteps of these influencers in more human ways, giving them room to grow and learn, rather than sensationalizing their actions. I think an angle of empathy will be something that goes a long way on YouTube these days, because I think empathy is really lacking on this platform, and I think it's part of why I didn't want to post this regularly anymore. It's just really hard to keep up with how other people are posting. First of all, in the pace, they are very fast. They post news right away, which right now with my full-time job I cannot do, and because of that I feel like I'm too late for every single topic, and it's making me feel pressured, making me feel upset, and also the presentation, the exposition of these videos is usually harsh, very critical, and I've tried to not imitate that, because I was still like showing a side of me, I wasn't being fake. However, that's a small side of me. It's a side of me when I'm upset, when I'm not in a good mood. Most of me is not like that. Most of me has empathy and kindness, and I want to be more transparent with these good things about me. I want to focus more on holding accountable CDD channels individually, because if our job is to do it to others, it means we should accept it and not behave like we are immune to criticism. I only did this twice, I think, to Smoky Glow and it's Keisha. I hope I'm remembering correctly. I understand it doesn't look the best when they're both women and one is a woman of color. So I want to continue this to more people. And yes, cis-het white men are on the list too. I'm changing my intro. It will be maybe something like public figures and media or current events and media. Instead of pop culture and influencers, I'm ready to discuss pieces of media more. After all, I have a degree in film production. Would be ashamed to waste it. I also want to be more political here. I know communism is a big bad specter for a lot of people in the West. But all I ask is that if you don't want to agree and still decide to watch, please disagree respectfully. I can't be bothered to rehash why Red Scare is bad and xenophobic. I also want to bring a more formulaic approach. I have the knowledge, but it often does not translate on screen. Because of the linguistic divide and my unscripted videos, I used to only add bullet points as opposed to word-by-word scripts, so let me know how this new format feels. Does it run smoother? Does it feel better and more organized? I hope that with these changes I can reduce the burnout I feel by constantly following the political sphere of the world. It's hard to not get emotionally wrapped up in this negativity. I often feel scared to post my opinions online. I lose followers when I defend human rights on my Instagram stories. I get insults and death threats in my DMs. It's tragic. I feel like the world expects me to be quiet and meek and not share my opinions as an Eastern European woman. To exist for the voyeurism of white Western men. I hope you want to hear my voice. Women like me are already disenfranchised enough. My Instagram is in the description down below. Feel free to discuss with me in DMs. Maybe I can change your mind about Eastern Europe, about who we are as humans. We're not big villains, we're not invaders of the East, we're not trying to genocide people. A lot of it is misconstrued, and we are often misunderstood through the Western lens, and I just want to raise awareness to that. My last point is I'm deleting some of my videos, in fact many of them. Some opinions are outdated and I used what information I had at the time, but that information changed, so it's only fair to delete those. Others are my personal choice in that I believe some of my video subjects evolved enough to be forgiven for their past mistakes, so I'm giving them a chance to move on, regardless of how small my impact alone can be. It's not that I can't stand by my own opinions, I can, and I don't mind any of these videos resurfacing in the future. I will even go through what I privated and why in a video at some point this year. I will do periodic cleanses like this when I think it's warranted, but if you think you need any of the content in the future, you are free to convert it and make a backup for yourself. After all, I deserve to be treated in the same way I treat the subjects of my video. This cup has been empty for so long. It's like I haven't even used it. When I got it from work, it's like really nice quality of cup. I don't want to promote corporatist shit, but like, I don't know. I don't know, man.